Now, we're getting ready to go over the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave by Willie Lynch. Now, I was going to do a PowerPoint on this, but I am not. I'll just do it on this. So let's talk about Willie Lynch. Willie Lynch was a sorcerer. Now, a sorcerer is an ancient practice that is rooted in rituals, spiritual divinations, and or cultural lineage with an intention to invoke, manipulate, or otherwise manifest supernatural forces, beings, or entities in the natural world. Now, a sorcerer can pick up and throw people, conjure illusions. They can animate objects and statues, transform things, command animals, and compels people into doing what he wants, conjure fire, and bewitches objects. Now, I'm going to go through some of the things that I have highlighted in this book. Now, we know that mostly the chiefs and the slave traders dealt in rolls of tobacco, barrels of rum, and firearms, and generally in lengths of iron or copper, or in pots and basins of brass. Now, this is what they would trade the most during, slavery. These were the natural resources that that they would, trade. So the Willie Lynch letter, it was delivered by Willie Lynch on the bank of the James River in the colony of Virginia in 1712. And Lynch was a British slave owner in the West Indies and all of that things. So I guess he's seen that, in certain places how slaves was not in check yet, I guess. And so he greets them with saying that the year of our Lord 1712. So it says, he says that I guaranteed every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. And right here it says 2012. He's telling them that his method is simple and that any family of, I guess, the slave owners can use it. He said that he uses, listen to what I am saying, because this same tactics are used now. And this is why I feel like they brought back them damn Jim Crow laws, trying to scare people and trying to induce fear into people. He says that I use fear, distrust, and envy for control. Is that not what's going on in the black community? Do you see how envious black women are with each other? Like, do we see that? Do you see the psychological warfare that was going on so many years ago, and it is still going on now? It says the black slaves, after receiving this indoctrination shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. It is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful of each other. Do we not see that in the black community now? How you can, it's like it's hard for you to trust, just like these platforms I keep saying. It's hard to trust each other. Even in our families, we don't trust each other. We let things slide. We don't say nothing. We don't speak up. We don't hold them accountable for certain things that they do in our family. And I don't feel like you have to be rude or nasty in order to hold somebody accountable. So this is Let's Make a Slave. I guess it's supposed to be his little first chapter. Now he says, unusual sobriety, apparent abstractions, silliness, and indifference indeed. Any mood out of the common was afforded ground for suspicion and inquiry. Now it says, let's make a slave. What do you need? First of all, we need a black in man, a pregnant in woman, and her baby in boy. You see how they brung all three together? The black man, the black woman, and the black child. So how they come up with the Father, the Son, Like, how they come up with that? Like, where? Let's keep going. Second, we will use the same basic principle that we use in breaking a horse, combined with some more sustaining factors. What we do with horses is that we break them from one form of life to another. That is, we reduce them from their natural state in nature. Nature. Do you see how people are so distant from nature? People be throwing all type of stuff on the ground. They throw all type of stuff on the ground. You're seeing trees being cut down, like they are being cut down to where you can smell it in the air. You can smell it from miles away in the air. So it says, and you know how close Black people are to nature. I love nature. And once you take a people from nature, it's like striping them of everything that they have ever known and forcing your, bad eating habits and soda and sugar and all these other types of bad things that was replaced for nature. Everything's replaced. It says, whereas nature provides them with the natural capacity to take care of their offspring, we break that natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency status so that we may be able to get from them useful production for our business and pleasure. I just wrote on Facebook about our ignorance is their pleasure. As long as people are ignorant to nature and know that you can grow your own food, you can grow your own vegetables, you can create and then you notice how it ain't easy for us to buy land like that. It's like, because they're buying it all up. They're literally buying up all the land so that Black people cannot get the land to be able to get that land and sustain it and take care of it and grow their gardens and have their farms. They already, going after farmers, trying to get them to do something. I don't know what it is. There was a news article that I have to go back and read. It says cardinal principles for making a Negro. Now, for fear that our future generations may not understand the principles of breaking both of the beasts together, the inn and the horse, we understand that the short-range planning economics results in periodic economic chaos. They control the economy. Anytime the economy is going up, they have control over it. Anytime it's going down, they have control over it. But it's like now you're seeing, Black women and Black men going into business together. You see them going into business right now. You see them forming their own businesses and not going to these big corporations, creating their dream and continually to, support them and their family. They don't like that. Now it says both horse and inners. In is no good to the economy in the wild or natural state. Both must be broken and tied together for orderly production. So they want to tie a horse and the end together for production. Now, another thing I saw, it said special and particular attention must be paid to the female and the youngest offspring. Why do you think they want to pay so much attention to the Black female? Because the Black female is what's going to continue to have that Black baby. As long as they can keep a Black woman from having a Black baby, that is the goal. That's why you're seeing like so many mixtures of women getting to see. This is what I'm talking about the different platforms to where they are bashing Black women and bashing black men, because now it's in the mind frame of people to where, well, if they're saying this, it must be true. So now you are having Black women that are going to other races, which, well, that's your preference, but it is all a game. It is all to separate Black people from each other, for us to hate each other, and for us to look down on each other. It says both must be crossbred to produce a variety and division of labor. Both must be taught to respond to a peculiar new language. Psychological and physical instruction of containment must be created for both. Psychological. Once someone has your psyche, once they have your mind, your head at the top, you are done with. You are over. Once your mind has been taken control, or once someone has taken control of your mind, it is done with. You are done. Psychological has everything to do with your psyche and your physical containment, which means keep them far from certain resources, or keep them from this, or keep them from that. It's like, it's unbelievable. Accordingly, both a wild horse and a wild or nature N-word is dangerous, even if captured, for they will have the tendency to seek their customary freedom, and in doing so might kill you in your sleep. You cannot rest. So he is telling slave owners that it is dangerous for an N-word to be wild or to be in nature. They're trying to convince he's trying to convince these slave owners to not have black people into nature. That's why they built these little side houses for the slave to sleep in, while the slave masters took away Big Mama's house, because that's what those houses were. That's what they were. But all of a sudden now you have these people in these huge houses. Like, it's just unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Keep the body, take the mind. In other words, break the will to resist. Like I said, your mind, once they have your mind, you are done with. You can't speak for yourself. You cannot stand up for yourself. You cannot formulate new ideas or concepts. You cannot do that if someone is taking control of your mind and they have put you in utter fear. Utter fear. Utter fear. It's like somebody being afraid of, an animal, snakes, a dog, a cat, horses. Shark. It's like that. It's like once you are afraid of that, you're not going to want to question and go into the ocean and swim. And no, you're not going to want to do that. And it says, but as we said before, there is an art and long-range economic planning. They plan their entire economic system around black people. That's what they did. And they are it's starting to fade out now. But that is, the hospitals, the religious churches, just to keep you far, far, far from nature. I don't remember church ever saying anything about nature. I don't remember them ever saying anything about that. Now it says a brief discourse in offspring development will shed light on the key to sound economic principles. Pay little attention to the generation of original breaking, but concentrate on future generations. You know why they don't want you to pay attention to the original breaking that they did? I had to stop. I stopped this at 1344. So I was saying that why they don't want you to pay attention to the original generational breaking that they did. It's because they still know that is not what is. They still know a lot about where they came from. They still know that they still have a little fire in them. That's why I don't want you to pay attention to those, or to talk to those, or to keep distance from those. But as generations go on, it's like they become weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. For example, it says, take the case of the wild stud horse, a female horse, and an already infant horse, and compare the breaking process with two captured N males in their natural state. A pregnant N woman with her infant offspring, take the stud horse, break him for limited containment. Containment means, you're inside of something. It's like you're inside of a box with no room, with barely any room. What can you do? You can't do anything. It says completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle. We had women that was warriors. Of course, women are nurturers too, but we had warriors as women. Whereas you or anybody can ride her in her comfort. So that means break a woman down of her strongness, of her willingness to survive until until you're able to just beat on her without her saying anything, pretty much. Okay. It also says, and she will in turn train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also, which is now you have broken the mother. Now you want the mother to be able to unconsciously break her infant or break her child. But vary the degree and step up the pressure so as to do a complete reversal of the mind. Do you notice they continue to talk about the mind? They continue to bring that up. The psyche, the mind, the mental. They continue to bring that up because they know that once they have your mind, once they have consumed the way that you think, once they have, taken all of your natural abilities on how to think for yourself, it's like they're going to create the reality for you. They're going to create it for you. Tie each leg to a different horse faced in the opposite direction, set him a fire, and beat both horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining end. They want to see the man being, they want a woman to see that their man being beaten and broken down. They want that to psychologically, it's so crazy because I'm envisioning it right now. I'm envisioning it. It is crazy. Now it says, don't kill him, but put the fear of God in him, for he can be useful for future breeding. You see, they gave us their God. That's when they gave us that Bible. And that's why I cannot get close to that. I can't deal with that because at the specific time that it was given to black people, it was given for you to learn about their God and for you to follow in their ways. Now, we're going to talk about that later. The breaking process of the African woman. Now it says, this is a whole other chapter, I guess. He up here writing long ass letters just to manipulate an entire people. Sorcerer. Now, because she is the most important factor for good economics. Who be buying stuff up? Black women, we do this. We are the consumers. We buy the stuff for the household. We buy the clothes. We buy the shoes. We buy the perfumes. We buy the cleaning products. We buy the house. We buy that. We do that. Women are the consumers. If women was going back to making their own things, it wouldn't be no economics. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economic. Why? Because we are the consumers. Understanding is the best thing. It says, when the complete submission, she will train her offspring in the early years to submit to the labor when they become of age. So that's kind of like, as how they had them working in the fields, or you had the house ends when they were in the house. And they show us in the freaking movies, and they keep showing us these damn movies, and they keep showing us, and they keep showing us, and they keep showing us, and they keep showing us. Why do they keep showing us that? Why is 2023 they talking about Jim Crow laws when this book was written how many years ago? And you still want some people to believe that because they want to induce fear. They want you to be afraid and scared that they are trying to put us back in time. Let's go on. I have more. I'm trying to see if I had any more, and I did. So it said, we breed 2 N males with 2 N females. Then we take the N male away from them and keep them moving and working. Say 1 N female bears a N female and the other bears a N male. Both N females being without influence of their N male image, frozen with an independent psychological, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her. We negotiate her at will. The one with the N male offspring, she being frozen with a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. Once again. Now, in a few years, when these 2 offsprings become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle. That is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning. They are literally planning, and they planned to, just how they have public assistance, where the black man came in the house, where they want women to think you're supposed to, and they got this whole independent woman thing, and Leo came out with a little ugly, ridiculous song, Independent Woman. Like, come on, dude. Seriously? I ain't listening to his music no more because that song. You want to break men and women apart and have the woman take care of the offspring by herself while the man go to work to where he don't have time to even teach his children. And then the same thing has been passed on to their offspring. And it's like generation after generation after generation after generation after generation after generation. And he just loved this N-word. He just loves it. He loves saying it. And that's the only way he is up. Like, that's the only way that he's approaching them or speaking of them. This is the only thing that he's saying. Continually through the breaking of uncivilized savage N, by throwing the N female savage into a frozen psychological state of independence, by killing of the protective male image, and by creating a submissive dependent mind of the N male slave. We have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis for freaking ever, unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the male and female slaves. We show what we mean by example. Take the case of the 2 economic slave units and examine them closely. They're saying that it'll continue forever and ever unless a phenomenon occurs. So what is that phenomenon? Is that phenomenon happening now when people are waking up and understanding that you cannot continue to bash and brainwash us anymore? Is that the phenomenon you're talking about? Or is they talking about the rise of people that are now waking up and that are forming their own businesses? Is that the rise that they're talking about? It's the rise that's talking about how deities and ancient deities that are coming back. Because babies that are being born are not new. They're not new. They are old. Okay, you can see how these babies be up coming out the womb. My son, 4 years old, came out. He was prepared. I was laying there, and it's like I wanted to push, but it's like he literally was coming out by himself. It's like he didn't. These people was like, and then they killed him when they were like, don't push. Girl, you better get the hell up out my face. If the baby say he ready to come out here and start a war, then he's ready. Don't tell him that he ain't ready. He literally, like, they had to come, like, as they come in the room, his head is coming out. I'm like, well, you can't control everything, my dearest. You can't control everything. This is a natural flow of life, and you cannot control this. Our experts warned us about the possibility of this phenomenon occurring, for they say that the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time. If I can touch some substantial original historical base, and they advise us that the best way to deal with the phenomenon is to shave off the brute's mental history and create a multiplicity of phenomena of illusions, so that each illusion will twirl in its own orbit, something similar to floating balls in a vacuum. So, religion, that's what the illusion they created. They always telling the story about slaves and the slave stories and plantations. What was black people doing before that? So you mean to tell me that oh my gosh, this shit is making my head hurt. Oh my God, and it's just making my soul turn, and it's burning me up. So you mean to tell me that before they made your little stories and your little slave movies and your little whatever, like, so black people was doing nothing before that? So nothing happened before that. They took our entire history before that and just wiped it clean, and they teach these slave stories in school. Why do you teach these specific stories in school? Specifically, they teach these stories in class, specifically, as if that's the only thing, like that, as if that is the only thing in history. It is. Now, this phenomenon they weren't aware of something that was going to happen. That's why you see this whole thing is falling down. The whole medical system is getting ready to fall. The whole government system is getting ready to fall, because they are a part of this too. The police is a part of this too. The police is just modern day slave catchers. That's what they did, and they have on uniforms. They still have that same damn baton, whatever the hell that stick is that they have. They still have it. Instead of horses, they have the freaking cars now. The damn cars are even looking weird. They look weird. Like, it's the same thing. Crossbreeding ends mean taking so many drops of good white blood and putting them into as many ends women as possible, varying the drops by the various tone that you want, and then letting them breathe with each other until another cycle of color appears as you desire. Didn't I just say that this is why you have the crossbreeding with the white male, with the black man? White girls love them some white black men. Some of them. I'm not speaking for all, but some of them do. And we understand why. We get it. But this was an agenda. It ain't like it's naturally happening, where it's not natural, okay? Orbiting cycle means a thing turning in a given path. Axis means upon which or around which a body turns. Phenomenon means something beyond ordinary conception and inspires awe and wonder. Multiplicity means a great number. Spear means a globe. Crossbreeding a horse means taking a horse and bringing it with an ass, and you get a dumb, backward ass, long-headed mule that is not reproductive nor productive by itself. I don't know what in the freak he was talking about, but come on, dude. He keeps talking about this sphere of illusion, where the purpose of which is to create a diversified division of labor, thereby creating different levels of labor and different values of illusion at each connecting level of labor, the results of which is the severance of the points of original beginnings for each sphere illusion. When they're talking about the planets, the planes of existence, but they told us there was planets though. How do we know that y'all even been there? How do we? First off, we know you ain't getting up out of this. We know that you cannot get up out of here. We know that. That's why there's a covering up there. That's why they always trying to send bombs and blast them. What do they call it? Firmament. We know that you cannot get out of the firmament. We know that. That's why when you see those rockets, notice them rockets when they tell you a rocket is launching in there, or what, the spaceship, whatever the hell they call it. Watch how, what they have videos on YouTube. Look it up. Watch how when it goes up, it starts to turn, it starts to curve. Why in the hell are you curving? You're supposed to be going straight up. Even for when you're traveling in airplanes, they don't tell us that things are closer than they appear. They want us to believe that it takes you 85 days to get to wherever. Like, come on, dude. Come on. That's just to trick you and to make you believe and to give you what they want you to think that how it's supposed to be. They charge you so much money to go to one place on the airplane to the next, and then but then because they take so many different trips, it's like it's like, okay, say you want to go to Atlanta, right? These people want you to get on a flight in Tampa. This damn flight gonna take you all the freaking way to Missouri. Then you have to get off the damn flight and get on another flight to go to Texas. And then once you go to Texas, you gotta get off that flight. Come, bitch, stop lying. Unnecessary. It is unnecessary. It's not even funny, but the fact how they keep doing this. They keep doing it. Wow. You got, okay. You got a multiplicity of colors of ass backward, unusual nigger N-words running tied to a backward ass long-headed mule. The one productive of itself, the other sterile. The one constant and the other dying. We keep the N constant, for we may replace the mules for another tool. Both mule and N tied to each other, neither knowing where the other came from, and neither productive for itself nor without each other. Ooh, here we go. Control the language. You know, it's when you saying something. English is the only bastard language. This is the bastard language. We already know that. You notice when you're trying to pronounce some words, if you are in the United States, how it's like a tongue twister, and then they want you to take all these speech classes when you're young so you can perfectly say the word. How about, what if it's not even our language to be trying to repeat and say the word? How about that? Like, how about that? So it says, we must completely annihilate the mother tongue of both the new N and the new mule, and institute a new language that involves the new life's work of both. You know, language is a peculiar institution. It leads to the heart of people. Yes, it does, because once you can know how to communicate, come on. Why would they talk? They showed us how when the slaves would be in the fields and how they were singing songs, but the songs would say if like somebody was getting ready to run away. It was in that movie. I forgot what the movie called. They got so many damn of them. Choose which one. But the songs was like, it's like say if somebody was getting ready to run away, and they'll sing a song telling their loved ones about them getting ready to run away. That was how they communicated. You see, it don't matter how you try to break them, they still found ways to communicate to each other. That's when the ties were still strong. That's when they were still, behind each other and trying to help each other as much as possible, even though they all were, in the same position and can't get away. And, the men were separated from the women, and the women and the children were separated from their mothers, and the children are separated from their daddies, and having, this daddy go to this plantation, so that your entire and root system and where you came from is all construed, and you have no idea where you came from. And it's still happening because people still have no idea where they come from. I don't think everybody came from Africa. What if we was already over here? What if we was already here? And they want us to believe that the only way we got over here is through them. So you're trying to say that we were that dumb that we didn't know how to cross the water, or even if there was water, how we know this whole thing was even originally like this? And like when they create, like, how do we know that? How do we not know that they somehow put, like, separated the lands to where you would think that, but it wasn't even like that in the original place? Like, it's just, I'm probably confused. I hope that made sense. But now it says, the more a foreigner knows about the language of another country, the more he is able to move through all levels of that society. Therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy of the country to the extent that he knows the body of the language, to the extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion of a foreign culture. In other words, they're going to take your language away so that you won't be a threat to them. Because now, if they don't know what you're talking about and you're communicating with other people, they don't know what you're planning. They know what you're planning. That's why they want you to be on the same level with them with the whole language thing, and taking you far away from your language and your heritage and your roots. The more, I read that. Okay, it says, like, for example, if you take a slave, if you teach him all about your language, he will know all of your secrets, and he is then no more a slave, for you can't fool him any longer, as suppose what's going on right now. You can't keep fooling us any longer, because first of all this information is now. This is the age of Aquarius, the age of information. Water. Aquarius has everything to do with water. Water is also information. When you are having a baby, when you are pregnant, I'm expecting again, baby number 6, but I'll take a picture soon, put it on there. When you are pregnant, your baby is in a sack of water. Water's information. I'm gonna keep that right there. We're gonna come back to that probably another podcast. But for example, if you told a slave that he must perform in getting out our crops, and he knows the language well, he would know that our crops didn't mean our crops, and the slavery system would break down. So in other words, if they're telling them, go work and do this, but if the slave have known that this is not yours for you to claim, just like how they be trying to open and close the beach. Who in the hell told you that you owned the damn beach? Y'all didn't give y'all permission? Like, did they give you permission for that? Like, come on, it's so disrespectful. Nobody, like, who in the hell, like, do you are you listening to the fact how they are telling us when the beach open and when the beach closes? Are you kidding me? So you own the damn ocean water too? Like, come on, like, just trying to control and manipulate and everything. So if they knew that the crops were not their crops, they didn't literally just, they want them to think that nature don't exist. And when they're trying to take that away from them and trying to wipe their memory clean of you're able to grow your own crops and not even pick mine. You see? It kind of sounds like the freaking Bible to me, but confusion. But for he would relate on the basis of what our crops really meant. So you have to be careful in setting up the new language for the slaves would soon be in your house, talking to you man to man. And that is death to our economic system, which means they don't want a black man to be on the same level as a white man. Let's, for example, right now, where you are sitting at in the city, country, wherever you are, is there any black man that owns any building in the downtown area? Name one. Nope, we can't name one because they don't own them. They do not own them. Now, they may work there, maybe, but they don't own not now damn building. In addition, the definitions of our words or terms are only a minute part of the process. Values are created and transported by communication through the body of the language. A total society has been interconnected value system. All the values in the society have bridges of language to connect them from orderly working in the society. But for these language bridges, these many value systems would sharply clash and cause internal strife or civil war, which means if they wake up and find out that the whole time that they've been tricking them in the language and been tricking them in saying certain things in the language, it will be an entire, just like what they said. For example, if you put a slave in a hog pen and train him to live there and incorporate in him to value it as a way of life completely, the biggest problem you would have out of him is that he would worry you about provisions to keep the hog pen clean, or the same hog pen and make a slip of incorporate something in his language, whereby he comes to value a horse more than he does his hog pen. You got a problem. He will soon be in your house. The end. That's all. Like, it's like that was the last chapter. Control the language. Like, we can clearly see that there is a breaking down that's going on. A lot of things is falling apart, and a lot of lies are being unveiled, because we're in an age and information where things are being shared that could not be shared before. They kept all the information quiet and to themselves in the museums where we cannot visit, in the libraries where we have no access to, secret meetings that are being held we have no idea about, and I'm sure that there are continually to have secret meetings. Look at all the little CEOs of these top companies. There are giving up their positions. Why would somebody of a CEO that have been in that position for 5 million years just give up their seat like that? Why would you do that? Unless it's not willingly being given up. I feel like there's a lot of other things that are being done behind closed doors. I feel like a lot of these, we're going to start with the celebrities because we see them the most. They're always on the scene. We're going to start with celebrities. We see that, first of all, we already know some of them is not who they are anymore. We know about the whole NPCs. We know about all we know about the CLONING. We know about all of that. So some of the people not even be alive, and they're just showing us hollow vessels. Okay, at this point, you can look at a person's eyes and tell if they have a soul now. At this point, especially if you are awakened and you are on that level and you have the sight, you can definitely see him. And I'm definitely seeing LeBron. Why you wearing dresses now? We really, really, really would love the answer to that. So you see what I'm talking about? You see? Do you see? Like, come on. It's like there's literally keep trying to break down a black man. Not only him, it's others. Why are you doing that? If you are a heterosexual man, why present yourself as a homosexual? We have no problem with a man. You are grown. Do what you want to do. But don't confuse the two. And do not be involved in children in that. That is the only thing that I care about is children being involved with this. No adult should be worried about what a child is going to do in the bedroom with anybody. Why? That's sick. That's nasty. You're envisioning that if you're asking about that or if you're concerned about that. Gabrielle Union, Dwayne Wade. Why is that even a factor? Why is it such a big agenda for people to... I mean, and we already know what it's doing. You take enough black men to want to be in that lifestyle. Where does that leave the black woman at? Again, where does that leave her at? You can't we know that women was able to create babies on their own back in the day. We know that. But now it's where we're not asexuals no more. We're not that anymore. So now you need a black male in order to create a black baby. Why is it that we're seeing interracial couples all of a sudden being highlighted, and if you don't agree, you're somehow racist? No. And I'm pretty sure other white people feel the same way. I'm sure they feel the same way. They want their people with their people, and we want our people with our people. Why is that such a bad thing? You don't see no other culture doing that. No other culture is doing that but us. They are the only culture that I'm seeing that is doing this. This entire world is changing. The entire old system that we have been taught to and brought up by is falling down. When they say Babylon will fall, oh, it's definitely falling, and we see it. They're trying to cover it up. But no, there are all type of things out in the sky. And like I said, I think they'd be doing that. They doing that because on one end you shooting things down in the sky. On the other hand, it's recorded. It's being recorded, and you're not shooting that down. You're blowing up stuff in the ocean. For what? For what? What is being blown up in the ocean? I feel like there are ancient animals that are coming back out because they're messing with things. I feel like because how if they can't get out the firmament, how are these spaceships or UFOs that they're talking about? How the hell is they getting through? Is they teleporting? Like, come on, tell us something else, and then showing us a picture, or just showing us a video clip of these unrecognized, vehicles or things that are in the sky. Like, we see the videos. There are mermaids that are coming out. That show, what that show was called? Siren, my favorite show. Now that went on, I think it was 4 seasons, 5 seasons. I don't know how many seasons that it had, but I loved that show. And when they said it was the last season or the final season, I wanted to understand why was they not, making this. Why was they not making it anymore? I feel like they talking about, when I looked it up, they talking about it was too much production, or it cost too much for them to create the, how when Siren went morph back into the mermaid, they claimed it first off, you made what, Transformers, Michael Bay films, Avatar. Come on, dude. Come on. We know that's not the truth. That's not the truth. Maybe people was wanting to, and another thing, and they all, in stories like this, like Siren, and what's that, Lovecraft Country. Notice that these movies are in very small, like little cities, little countries, that you really don't hear about. I don't know. Maybe people started going to these places and trying to figure out, if this is really a true story. Is this something that you're making up? Is this something that you're coming out with? Because they have to tell us what's going on. We take it as entertainment, when in reality, we should be having notebooks every time we go to the movie theater. Notebooks, backpacks, something to drink, something to eat, pens, highlighters, markers. That's what we should be having when watching movies. Not no damn popcorn. I don't like popcorn. I don't like it. It gets stuck in my teeth. Don't like it. They need to be selling pencils and pens instead of the little cups and the candy. No, we don't want that. We want pen and paper. Because at this point, information is not a secret no more. It's not a secret when it's out. A secret means one or less people know about it. How they call this stuff secrets when everybody know about it? There is no possible way that anything is a secret now. It is not a secret. I am so long-winded. But that is like what I want to talk about. Oh my gosh, it's been a long time coming to talk about this. I've been having this book just sitting here and just sitting here and just sitting here and just sitting here. I was going to do a PowerPoint, but I just don't have time to do that right now. But I hope that everyone is enjoying themselves and taking care of themselves, surrounding by people that are giving you like energy. Don't just accept anything from people. Question everything. Do your own research. Come up with your own perspective, because things will be pushed out for you to, it's like things will be pushed out with it. It's like they don't want you to think for yourself. And then when you think for yourself, you got to be, it's like shunned or something, or you're wrong for wanting to have your own mind and your own perception of things, and your own, like, No, I don't like that. I don't like manipulators. I don't like when people trying to manipulate people into thinking one way, into doing one thing. And like, I don't like that. You can give out information. You can, show what you have learned. But the manipulation tactics, I don't rock with. I don't like it. And I can easily pick it up from anybody. And I don't like it. We need to start calling these things out. Even these platforms that are coming on here. Because I feel like you down with it. If you are on a platform and are bashing black women and black men, you are part of the problem. There are still good black men and still good black women out here. But what people need to realize who are forming these platforms is maybe it's something wrong with you. Maybe like we said, and like Erykah Badu said, and like the universal laws state. It's not going to give you what you want, which is we always saying that. We want this from the universe. We want that from the universe. We want this from the universe. But we can't be playing like as if the universe is stupid and just looking past everything else. We can't act like that. That's not, it's just not like that. And it's ridiculous to see women bash black men because I love black men. I love them, good, bad, indifferent. Don't be messing with no children. That's all I'm saying. Don't be putting your hands on no woman. Don't be doing none of that. We don't respect none of that. We ain't condoning none of that. Don't do it. That's what we draw the line in at. Now you can state those things, but other than just bashing black men, period, and just so you can create this agenda to where it is okay to date, and that's everybody's preference. Who cares about who you date? But you don't have to push that agenda off on everybody, and just because you feel one way or just because you've been hurt by black men. Hell, some of us, the first black man we've been hurt by was our daddies. I mean, it's some women who have hurt by their daddies. That don't mean that they're gonna that don't mean it's destined for them to have bad men, to date bad men. Some women grow, they learn, they heal, they do what they need to do in order to, get who they are. You're only going to attract who you are. If you know you toxic, you're going to attract nothing but toxicity. So don't ask for nothing else. If you two-faced it, don't expect for nobody to be loyal around you like that. Don't expect that. Don't expect that. Now we know there's no percentage where certain things happen to where you may, like my position, where you're kind of like loyal by default, and it's kind of like because I don't know, maybe it's because of people pleaser, maybe because of that, but I'm not sure. My throat is tired and it's dry. I need something to drink. But I just saw 44. Yeah, so until next time, gods and goddesses, peace.